Alright, numbers 7 through 8. Again, this is review 5-2 for algebraic or math models out of your algebraic reasoning book. Again, just transformations. I'll start off with the 2/3. If we multiply by 2/3, we are actually getting smaller. If you just try doing something, if you can't tell, just do, in your calculator, do 2 divided by 3 times 50. And then look at your answer. Did the 50 go up or did the 50 go down? Well, the 50 went down, so this is a shrink. So this is a vertical shrink by 2/3. You can also think 2/3 is less than 1. So you're multiplying by less than 1, therefore it must be a shrink. Alright, the 6 on the inside. You're multiplying by 6. And it's in the inside, so it's a horizontal. But instead of getting bigger, remember everything in the inside is backwards, so it is also a shrink by 6. This stretch on the inside, remember everything we got to divide it by what's in front of x. So that is actually a -2. So it is a shift right 2 units, RIGHT, shift right 2 units. And last but not least, this -1 out here, it's a shift because it's subtracting, shift down 1. And your vertex for this one is +2, -1. Remember, take this inside number and flip it. So it becomes +2, and take the outside. Whatever you're adding or subtracting on the inside, comma, whatever you're adding or subtracting on the outside. Now this one is absolute value. You got those absolute value bars. So this one looks like this. Alright, and it's positive over here, so it's facing up. So your range, your domain is all real numbers because it's going left and right forever. But your range starts at this -1 and goes up to positive infinity. So your range can be stated -1 with the bracket, because it's included, to positive infinity with the parentheses. Okay? Number 8. Feel free to pause anytime if you need to stop. This 5 out front is multiplying, so this is a vertical, because it's outside and multiplying, stretch by 5. This negative on the inside, anytime you're multiplying by a negative, is a reflection. It's inside, so it affects the x, but it goes across the y-axis. Goes across the x, but affects the y. And then last but not least, you've got this +8. So that's, you're adding, so that's a shift. And it's outside, therefore it must be going up. And your vertex is 0, 8, because nothing is being added or subtracted on the inside, so that's 0. You just grab the outside value. Again, it's absolute value because those absolute value bars, so the domain is all real numbers. And your range, this one is still facing upwards because that 5 is positive. And it's going from 8 up to infinity. So we include the 8, comma, up to infinity. Alright, the last two on the screen. Here we go, number 9. This one has quite a bit on it. We got a negative out front. So that negative means it reflects across x-axis. Alright, you got the 1/6 right here, which is like dividing by 6. So it's outside, so it's a vertical shrink. Because when you divide, you get smaller by 6. You got this 1/6 on the inside, so it's horizontal. Alright, but everything inside is backwards, so when you divide by 6, you get smaller, but inside you're going to get bigger, so it's a stretch by 6. I did this one specifically because multiplying by 6 on the outside is a shrink, but multiplying by 1/6 on the inside is a stretch. Alright. This +2 right here, remember, has to be divided by the 1/6. which 2 divided by 1/6 is actually 12. So this is a shift. Because it's positive 12, it's going to go left, 12, and then last but not least, the positive 8. That's outside the parentheses because that little bar doesn't go all the way across there. So it's outside, so it is a shift down 8. Okay? And the vertex is that positive 12. Oh, that negative 12 because it went left 12. Okay? That's a positive 12, so flip it becomes a negative 8. And this one's a little trickier, okay? Because remember, we talked about this yesterday, your radicals start at an endpoint and go off like this. Well, this one's been reflected across the x and that endpoint. So this one is actually opening up like this. And that is the point negative 12, 8. So this one, your domain is from, remember, left to right, is from negative 12 into infinity. But your range goes negative to positive. So grab the y value, negative infinity to positive 8. Alright, that one's a little stranger because it doesn't go to infinity in every direction. It just goes to infinity in one. So you got to be a little more careful with that one. Last but not least, number 10. Okay? Do this one real quick. 4 on the outside, that's vertical. So that's a vertical, stretch by 4. We got a negative on the inside, so that reflects across the y-axis. Remember, it affects the x, but it goes across the y. We're multiplying by a half, so that's horizontal, but it's dividing by 2, which is a shrink, but everything inside is backwards, so it is a stretch by 2. Your internal shift, the horizontal shift, remember, has to be divided by this negative 1/2. 5 divided by negative 1/2 is negative 10. So negative 10, so that's a shift right 10 units, which makes the x value for your vertex 10. And then last but not least, you got this minus 7 on the outside, so that is a shift down 7. So that is a negative 7 over there. Okay? So again, radicals start this and go off. This one is reflected across the y-axis. So instead of pointing this way, it now points that way. So this graph starts at your vertex and goes like that. And your vertex is 10, negative 7. So your domain is going to go from negative infinity up into your x value. So negative infinity up to the x value is 10. And your range is going to go from negative 7 up to infinity. I'll put the negative infinity over here. So it's going to start at that negative 7 and go up to infinity. And that's how it works. Pause if you're still writing.